Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Cassie Knoll and this is your 10 weather impact recap for the week. Let's start by looking at your top weather stories from around the world. First, a rare flood event from heavy rain left blue lagoons of water amid palm trees and sand dunes in the Sahara Desert. Some of the driest regions saw more water than they've had in half a century. The desert in southeast Morocco is among the most arid places in the world and rarely sees rain in late summer. The Moroccan government said the 2 days of rainfall in September exceeded more rain than they typically would have in an entire year for several areas. Number 2, it's already winter in the Northeast's highest mountain. Last week, Mount Washington saw temperatures in the 20s, but the wind chill dropped below zero. The summit saw more than 5 inches of snow and lots of rime ice, which formed from freezing fog, and that's what you see coating those chairs right there. The state park was closed for several days because of the winter conditions. And in complete opposite, number 3, Phoenix is still setting records for hot temperatures. The airport hit 100 degrees on Monday, making it 21 consecutive days, 3 weeks straight that the area has tied or broken record high temperatures. Phoenix also had record warm low temperatures, meaning that the area is not getting much relief overnight. Luckily, Phoenix should see a break in the heat wave with highs staying out of record territory for the rest of this week, and temps may even drop below average as we go into the weekend. After a busy few weeks with hurricanes, we are not seeing a lot of activity in the Atlantic right now, but the season isn't over yet. It actually runs all the way through November 30th. And looking out at the current Atlantic basin, there's not a lot going on. There's one wave that we're watching that has a medium chance of development as it gets a little bit closer to Puerto Rico and the Greater Antilles as we go into the latter parts of this week. We'll keep our eyes on it to see if it's able to develop, but it does look like a frontal boundary to the south of Florida would likely turn that system away from the U.S. And then an area of disturbed weather in the Western Caribbean likely will move across Central America and into the Eastern Pacific. So that's good news for everyone that recently has been impacted by the strong hurricanes that have made landfall. Milton made landfall last Wednesday as a Category 3 hurricane along Florida's west coast. At least 17 people died in the hurricane's aftermath. The hurricane dumped so much rain over parts of the Tampa Bay area that it qualified as a 1 in 1,000 year rainfall event. This is video from Anna Maria Island in Florida. The area was slammed twice, first with Helene and then less than 2 weeks later by Milton. Before the hurricane made landfall, it produced supercell thunderstorms with strong tornadoes. The National Weather Service issued 126 tornado warnings across the state. That's the most ever issued in a single day in the state of Florida. In St. Lucie County on the southeast coast, 5 people died after a tornado tore through their community. The power of Milton left the roof at Tropicana Field in tatters. This is the home of the Tampa Bay Rays located in St. Petersburg, and it suffered major damage. In fact, the dome of the stadium was shredded by 100+ mile-per-hour winds. That area was also housing about 10,000 utility workers at the time. Luckily, they were all safe. In Clearwater, people were rescued from apartments due to rising floodwaters. High winds from Hurricane Milton delayed the rescue efforts, and crews weren't able to respond until shortly before sunrise Thursday once the wind subsided. Crews used high water vehicles to get to the residents and get them to safety. Many were taken to local shelters for those hurricane evacuees. First responders then went door to door to ensure no victims were trapped, rescuing a total of 449 adults, 116 children from 178 different units. There were no significant injuries reported, and there is no current timeline for when those residents will be able to return back to their homes. On Sunday, President Joe Biden surveyed the damage in Florida from the sky. He also toured St. Pete Beach and promised more than $600 million to restore and upgrade the power grid after Hurricanes Helene and Milton hammered the region.
For some individuals, it was cataclysmic. All those folks who not only lost their homes, but more importantly, those folks who lost their lives, lost family members, lost all their personal belongings. Entire neighborhoods were flooded.
As of this recording, just over 200,000 customers are still without power. That's down from more than 3.4 million after Hurricane Milton made landfall last Wednesday. And some residents in Florida are now dealing with an unexpected threat as officials warn them to avoid those floodwaters because of gators, snakes, and stingrays. NBC's Guad Venegas explains.
In addition to turning roads into rivers, Hurricane Milton has also brought a flood of wild animals into unsuspecting Floridians' backyards.
Sorry. Oh, that was a big alligator just bit our tire.
This video capturing the moment a resident in Fort Myers realized a gator was swimming next to their car and attempting to take a bite out of their tire.
So it makes sense that with the flooding, a lot of people are seeing these in their homes.
Yeah, in their homes, in their pools, backyards, bedrooms, absolutely everywhere.
So why do they go into houses?
So the water pretty much pushed them, obviously, out of their pond area. They're going with the flow.
In the Tampa area, Jen Meser walked into her garage-turned-home gym the day after the storm with her 5-year-old on her hip to find an unexpected visitor.
Holy moly, we've got a gator in our garage. He made a trip over to the treadmill, got his cardio in for a second, and then he meandered out underneath my truck.
Messer and her husband called 911, but were able to shoo the gator back toward the pond near their house.
We directed him, but he wasn't that happy about it. So he did take a big chomp out of our broom. It was a wild day.
In this video, another family returning to their home north of Tampa was greeted by a gator lounging on their front porch. Experts say residents in flooded areas need to be careful.
I would absolutely be concerned on what's out there. I would not go in dark water. I would be extremely cautious.
Plus, gators aren't the only creatures out of their element.
A lot of the snakes that may be subterranean underground have been flooded out. Just like people have been flooded out, don't surprise them. That's why I tell people to avoid the water when possible.
Makes you want to move to Florida, doesn't it? We got a question from one of you, our viewers, about hurricanes. Teresa L. asked us, why do you say landfall occurs when the eye comes on shore? By that time, half the hurricane has already passed over, and she's not wrong about that. But here's the reason why this is the case. So when the center of a tropical system develops, it is the point of lowest pressure, which is in the middle of that eye. This is the point that meteorologists and computer models use to determine a tropical system's location. Now, because every system is shaped differently, this is the most consistent way to track a storm's position, and that's why landfall isn't considered to have occurred until that center or area of lowest pressure has crossed over the coastline. A very good and relevant question. Meanwhile, in East Tennessee and western North Carolina, we're still cleaning up after Helene caused devastating flooding. Areas like Cocke County, Irwin and Unicoi County, Asheville in North Carolina, and Lake Lure were hit by the floodwaters. Some areas were essentially cut off from the outside world because of the damage. I-40 is still shut down between Tennessee and North Carolina. The interstate suffered massive damage from the flooding. A section located 3 miles from the Tennessee state line is partially collapsed into the Pigeon River. North Carolina transportation officials say the repairs needed will take months at a minimum, and this means that drivers will need to plan for lengthy detours. On the Tennessee side, TDOT says crews are working to return traffic to I-40 in Cocke County in the form of one lane in each direction. All traffic would be pushed to the westbound lanes. The U.S. Department of Transportation is giving Tennessee $32 million to fix damage along I-40 and I-26. Now, TDOT did open part of I-26 from the Tennessee and North Carolina state line over to exit 40. The plan is to open a stretch of road in Unicoi County. TDOT says it's only for local traffic, no commercial vehicles, and police will enforce those restrictions. Now, across Tennessee, officials say 17 people died because of Helene, and that includes 8 in Unicoi County. 6 of those were workers at Impact Plastics in Irwin. Those workers were swept away by floodwaters, and 1 worker is still missing. 10 News reporter Maria Guzman shows us how first responders are continuing to search for the remaining missing worker.
The mission to find the last missing person is not done yet.
This is the biggest search effort Unicoi County has ever seen.
William Edwards is the chief of the Unicoi County Search and Rescue. He says his team has recovered 5 bodies within the last 2 weeks and are still looking for 1 more. All who were Impact Plastics employees.
We give our deepest condolences to anybody that lost family in this.
Loved ones of Rosa Andrandes say she's the last employee still missing. The 29-year-old is originally from Mexico and a mom of 2 kids. We first spoke to Rosa's husband 3 days after she went missing. Rosa's husband says he last heard from her when she was inside the factory.
Y me mandó un video donde estaba ella ya no completamente. Les llegaba el agua a los pies.
As days turn into weeks, the search and rescue chief says the biggest challenge in finding Rosa is the large amount of debris pile.
I mean, you're talking 200-300 yards long, multiple spots, 20-30 feet deep of stacks of 2x4s, stacks of plywood, stacks of pipe.
Edwards says first responders can't physically remove the debris by hand. They've started to use equipment to help them dig through the debris.
This is such a widespread disaster that excavators and bulldozers and stuff are thin.
As for Unicoi County Search and Rescue, the job is not done until the last missing person is located.
That's our goal, is to recover everybody, and we will do everything in our power to do that.
In western North Carolina, as many as 100,000 people still don't have running water 2 weeks after Helene. That's more than half of the people who get their water from the Asheville Water Department in the city and surrounding counties. Also, more than 12,000 customers still don't have power. Crews from all over the country are helping to turn the lights back on. But they say it's tough work in the dense mountain forests, where some roads and bridges were washed away. In East Tennessee, you may have noticed the current color of the Tennessee River and other bodies of water. It's brown instead of the typical deep green. Tennessee Valley Authority says we are seeing lots of water flowing from Cherokee and Douglas reservoirs, causing the muddy water to come downstream. The Tennessee River is the main source of drinking water for Knoxville, and 10 News reporter Maria Guzman shows us how Knoxville utility workers are taking the dirty water and making it drinkable.
This is water taken directly from the Tennessee River, while this water is taken from our faucet. I'm going to show you how KUP operators take this dirty water and make it drinkable. It's one of East Tennessee's beloved rivers, the Tennessee River.
But this is where our drinking water starts.
A key natural resource for people in parts of Knox, Sevier, and Jefferson County.
This is our source water.
Chris Thomas has worked for KUP for 2 decades. He says this is the most significant change he's seen regarding the river's turbidity. Turbidity measures the water clarity.
It's the mud, it's the dirt that's suspended in the water.
Thomas says despite the large amount of turbidity in the river, their finished water quality remains the same.
What we see are trees and logs.
That's because of 6 major steps of water treatment. One step includes the clarifier stage.
Is a key part of our water treatment process because this enables us to remove that turbidity.
This is where 95 to 98% of the mud and debris from the water is removed. Treatment in this stage takes the water quality from muddy to clear. The water then moves to the next step, the filter gallery.
And then the filters add that final polish to the water, much closer to being potable.
And KUP say after the water filtration process happens, the water continues to undergo some more chemical treatment, and then it's ready for customers to drink.
Now, many of the areas impacted by Helene are in the busiest season for tourism, and that's because of the fall foliage. We are starting to see more fall colors showing up, and we're almost at peak for colors in parts of East Tennessee. Let's take a look at the latest fall map from explorefall.com. We can see some moderate colors starting to show up on parts of the plateau, but in the higher elevations of the mountains, we're getting close to peak color up near the Newfound Gap area, Kuwohi, and into parts of western North Carolina. And with these really cool temperatures that we have in our forecast for the next several days, within the next week, we're expecting moderate color to really start to show up around a good portion of our area, maybe getting into some high color in parts of the plateau and even at peak or past it in the highest elevations of the mountains. Now, I want to say that parts of western North Carolina are closed for tourism right now, but other areas are open. So call ahead if you want to head over into western North Carolina and see some of those beautiful fall colors, as I do know that the areas that are open would really appreciate your business. Last week, many of us saw a show in the sky as well. The northern lights were visible as far south as Florida. A strong geomagnetic storm created the beautiful colors in the sky, and these are some of the dozens of pictures y'all shared with us. A lot of these you had to use your phone to get the picture to be able to see the color. They were very hard to see with the naked eye, but man, once you turn that phone up, whew, looking at those beautiful colors was the second time this year we got to see those. It was beautiful. And here in East Tennessee this week, we could see not pretty colors in the sky or on the leaves, but our first frost of the season. Temperatures are going to be cooling down to the lowest we've been so far this season, in the 30s tonight, tomorrow night and again on Thursday night into Friday morning. Then we'll see a little bit of a warming trend beyond that point. So this means that frost is going to be possible. That means you need to cover up and protect your sensitive plants. We've had a lot of people say, I still have tomatoes and peppers. Well, either go ahead and harvest them or cover them up and protect them if you can over the next several nights. Some of you may even need to use scrapers in the morning if that frost gets thick enough, and dress warmly. Layers would be a good idea because we are going to warm up as we go into the afternoons with the sunshine. But in the morning, you may want those hats, gloves, and scarves if you are going to be outside for any extended period of time. This cool spell lasts as we go through the upcoming days. Our football game is on Saturday, and from there, temperatures warm up into next week. Thanks for watching, and remember, you can always get the latest forecast on the free WBIR app.